Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. One of the reasons why Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. fight will be a huge, shocking surprise to a lot of people is, a lot of people are underrating Mikey Garcia. And one of the advantages that he has is his corner in his training camp, because he's also a part of the snack program. He also has Robert Garcia in his corner, who's prepared other fighters like an Abdamatis, and also most recently a Josecito Lopez. When you look at how well Josecito performed against Keith Thurman, Josecito is somewhat of a limited fighter. He doesn't have all the capabilities and things that Keith Thurman has, and he was pretty much outmatched by him. He was coming off a long layoff, but so was Keith Thurman, and most people felt like Josecito didn't stand a chance. He would eventually get stopped in this fight since he was already stopped by an Andre Berto. A lot of people thought Josecito didn't have a chance, and he almost stopped Keith Thurman in the 7th round. He went the full 12 rounds with Keith Thurman, and he battled back. He showed tremendous heart, and a lot of people counted him out and thought this was just going to be a tune-up fight. I was even one of the people that didn't think Josecito was going to come out and perform the way he did. He surprised me, but you know what? I should have known better, because he has a great corner with Robert Garcia, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like Mikey Garcia is going to have an upper hand on Errol Spence Jr. on the night of the fight, because in a fight this big against Mikey and Errol Spence Jr., they're both tremendous athletes, they're both good fighters. And so the small details of the fight will come into play and could edge one guy towards the victory rather than the other. See, we already know Errol Spence has the size and power, but we also know that Mikey Garcia has all the skills. So when you have a guy with plentiful skills and you have another guy with the size and power, that's going to be a chess match to figure out who wins that fight, because either guy can win. It's a 50-50 fight. But with a small thing like a corner, you would say, no, that's not something that's going to come into play in this fight. Errol Spence Jr. just blows through his opponents. But you have to understand that Mikey Garcia isn't any ordinary opponent. He's the most skillful fighter. And this was admitted by Errol Spence Jr. and his own camp, Derek James, that this is the most skillful fighter that he's ever seen in his career. So in any live fight that Errol Spence Jr. has been in, Mikey Garcia is going to be the best opponent that has ever stood across him in the ring. And this comes from Derek James and Errol Spence Jr. So you can say what you want about my opinion and my views. This comes from them. So you have to be honest and unbiased when you assess the situation. In addition to that, Mikey Garcia and Robert Garcia, when you look at their corner, they've been successful. Which fight did you see Mikey Garcia come into that he was unprepared or unable to make any particular adjustments? When he fought a Robert Easter Jr. Say what you will about Robert Easter Jr. A lot of guys thought he would upset Mikey Garcia in that fight, if we're being honest. And Mikey Garcia overcame his physical advantages and pretty much walked him down, backed him up, and had him not wanting to engage. And a lot of people picked Adrian Broner over Mikey Garcia, and he did the similar thing. Backed him up, walked him down, made him not want to engage. So you have to understand that his corner has him tremendously prepared for each and every fight that he comes out to fight. He always looks sharp. He always looks on point. But with Errol Spence Jr., he looks the same way. But the odd thing about it is his corner, they don't seem ready for the adjustments. In the Kell Brook fight with Errol Spence Jr., there was not a single adjustment made. Kell Brook had the same predictable style, same as Errol Spence Jr. He just wore Kell Brook down over the course of the fight due to Kell Brook's eye injury. There was no adjustment made. Even when Errol Spence Jr. lost some early rounds, still no adjustments made, stuck to the game plan. And sometimes that's the right thing, but sometimes that's the wrong thing, because when you have a guy like Errol Spence Jr. who was not making adjustments, when Derek James was not having him do anything different than what he did, then they're banking on a guy being able to be wore down, because Kell Brook fed right into his hand, because Kell Brook had poor head movement himself, because Kell Brook sat in the pocket and tried to brawl with Errol Spence Jr. That is why the other eye went, because he was already a damaged fighter. You see, these are things that he will not have with a Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia will not try to walk Errol Spence Jr. down. In previous fights with Derek James and Jermell Charlo, another guy that Derek James trains, Errol Spence Jr.'s trainer, Derek James and Jermell Charlo had trouble because they encountered fighting styles that they were uncomfortable with, such as an Austin Trout, such as, Tony Harrison. When these guys were movers, when these guys would not be a stationary target and weren't easy to hit, I've even seen Jermell Charlo screaming at Derek James saying he doesn't know what to do. He's making him look bad. And the only instruction that we heard Derek James shout was, go get him. That's a troubling sight. When all you do is scream, go get the guy, go get him, and he doesn't know how to do it. He's not prepared in the right way because all of his sparring has been with Errol Spence Jr. So you have to understand, Errol Spence Jr. is not a mover. That's not his style. So when a lot of guys come out and say iron sharpens iron, Errol Spence spars with Jermell Charlo, and these guys spars with each other, that's nice and fine if they're going up against a similar styled opponent. But you need sparring that fits the opponents that you have. And the opponent that you have is guys who move, guys who are, who make a lot of adjustments in the fight, guys who tricky and slippery, who use lateral movement. What are you going to do against those guys? Because Jermell Charlo nor Errol Spence Jr. has that style and has never shown those type of skills. So what do you do when you face an opponent like that and all your sparring experience has been with the other type of guy? So if you don't play into the hand, of sitting in the pocket, coming to them, trying to bang, then at the end of the day, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. This is why I have to give Mikey Garcia the edge in the corner. I feel like his corner is going to be a huge factor in this fight because they're going to see adjustments. They're going to see things round and round that Errol Spence Jr. is doing and make those adjustments. I've never personally seen Errol Spence Jr. make adjustments. I've never seen Derrick James shout adjustments other than go get him. So I think this fight's a lot closer than most people think, and it's based on the fact that Mikey Garcia is much more skillful. Do not be surprised on the night of the fight when you see Errol Spence Jr. lose a lot of early rounds, not being able to make the necessary adjustments. Once again, Unbiased as always, it's the Ibfp.